One of my all-time favorite consoles to collect is the Nintendo 64. I was actually able to complete my Funtastic series before the move, so unfortunately I didn't get to see them all together until I arrived here in Florida and was able to put them up on display. I got a pretty okay deal before I left on the last two colors I was missing. And basically the purpose of this video is to go over the Funtastic series, a little bit of its history, and my journey on collecting these 6 colors that look amazing on the shelf.
64. So what's the big deal, and why is Toys R Us already sold out? We have the answers. You've been warned. Nintendo 64 is very likely to produce this year's biggest holiday headache. It's sold out already, huh?
I know, but somehow I'll get it. Somehow. I don't know how, but I'll get it.
I was also wanting to go over a little bit of the prices that I paid for back then and kind of what they're worth now. With retro collecting kind of going completely insane, I do find it a little bit interesting in terms of what I was able to get it for. I mean, not only, 5 years ago compared to what it is now. The market has completely gone insane, and I have no intention of selling any of my collection. I don't collect to sell, I don't collect to flip, I just collect for the love of it. But I wanted to kind of go over what I have and just kind of the insanity that has come with the Funtastic series.
Nintendo 64's 6 new colors are so amazing, choosing a favorite might be somewhat of a struggle.
The Funtastic 64 came in 3 generations. The first one was the 6 colors released here in the United States, with the first one being the Jungle Green Nintendo 64 that I believe was released in a special edition pack with Donkey Kong 64, and it was called the Jungle Green color, which really fit accordingly with the game. I believe the others followed suit. The unfortunate thing about trying to research the Funtastic series is I wasn't really able to find a lot of videos or really a lot of information. There was like a wiki page here and like 3 videos from 10 years ago of people just showing their collection. I couldn't find a lot of data on it, so that was unfortunate. I know that the second generation was the half and half colors that was released, I believe, in Europe and Japan. We didn't get those colors. And then the third generation was really just a kind of renaming of a couple of the consoles from the purple grape to being like midnight blue. I want you guys to comment down below, or just maybe just think about it, which of the 6 Funtastic colors is the most expensive today?
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo.
Let me know in the comments down below which one you think is the most expensive. I'll give you just a little bit to think about it.
All right, players, the answer once again is it was the first spacecraft to land on the surface of Mars. Adam, what was your response? Kebert Zella.
Only saying his name backwards can send him back to the 5th dimension where he belongs.
So back in my hometown, I had a guy that I ultimately ended up calling my rival. And he was like some middle schooler, high schooler at this time. But the reason being is because this kid was going around town and buying up all of the retro deals and then reselling them. Which, you know, I appreciate the kid was trying to get his hustle. I did beat him out on a few, but ultimately he was the one person in town that I was always trying to beat out on these amazing deals that would pop up. So the first 2 consoles I was able to add to my collection from this guy was the Jungle Green and the Fire Orange, and I only paid $50 per console with all hookups and the controller, which, knowing what I know now, was an amazing deal. I believe I got these consoles back in about 2016. That was the earliest image I could find in my Google Photos, since I like to take photos of my collection, even before YouTube. So The next time I get in contact with this guy, and by this point I've been buying enough from him that he was contacting me. He had the watermelon red version with all of the hookups and the controller. I believe we landed on a price of $60. I ended up picking that up from him. I don't remember a lot about that encounter, but ultimately I was able to add that third one to my collection. And for a while, that's kind of where my collection sat. I wasn't actively looking for them. They weren't really popping up on Facebook Marketplace. So for many years, that's what I had. And then I get a random message from him saying he's got the ice blue one. I'm honestly surprised this kid even had the time to remember which ones I did and did not have. But for this one, we landed at the price of about $70. Once again, all of the hookups with the controller. We end up meeting at my workplace, and I buy this from him, landing me 4 of the 6 Funtastic colors. So just to keep you in track here, 2 for $50, 1 for $60, 1 for $70. The final 2 would not come to me until right before I was about to move. This was actually a gift from my husband for my birthday. These ones were the highest I had paid for these, and we had to drive probably about an hour to an hour and a half. Had breakfast at some little hole-in-the-wall breakfast place. It was actually a pretty fun experience. When I met the guy, he had the last 2 colors I needed, the grape purple and the smoke black. I believe one of them had the expansion pack and the other didn't, both with hookups and both with the controllers. When we met up, the smoke black was missing the jumper pack. So I told the guy, I was like, hey, I showed him the pictures, I screenshot the thing. I was like, hey, this is me missing. Make sure you're always checking what you're buying from the people. You know, you can trust who you want to trust and that's okay, but be a smart shopper and make sure that everything that you're paying for is there. So ultimately, we did have to drive out to his location. I did have my husband with me. I was being safe, and they ultimately went in and grabbed that for me, and we sealed the deal. And for that last one, he was actually asking price charting prices at that time. He had screenshots on it. I was able to keep those. For the last few encounters that I had, unfortunately, my Facebook account got hacked, and so I don't have those anymore, but I do remember what I paid for them. But ultimately, we landed for a total of $325 for both consoles. And honestly, this was probably just at the end of, 2021? So that really wasn't a bad deal. So just to go through a run through of what I paid and what they're worth.
The Jungle Green console, I paid $50 for it and it's now worth $150.93. The Fire Orange, also $50, and it's now worth $180.91. The Watermelon Red, I paid $60 and it's now worth $207.70. The Ice Blue I paid $70 for is now worth $171.22. I paid a total of $325 for both the Smoke Black and the Grape Purple, ending up being about $162.50 a piece. So for $162.50 for the Grape Purple, it is now worth $195.00. And last but not least, $162.50 for the Smoke Black, for a whopping $301.28.
My theory on why the Smoke Black is probably worth the most is probably because it was the least desirable back in the day. I mean, think about it. The original release was just that regular black console. They come out with all of these fun colors. I mean, who would want to go with the Smoke Black? It's the one that's closest to the original. I actually don't know why it's worth the most, but that is my educated guess. So the total payment that I made with all of my consoles over that time is a whopping total of $555.00, with a current value of like $1,200. That's insanity. These consoles were released in the early 2000s. The Nintendo 64 doesn't do very well in modern gaming anymore. I love collecting for it just because there's so much variety. I enjoy the games and nostalgia, and you know, it's an unpopular opinion, but I think the controller is awesome. But I'm really glad I was able to get these consoles when I did. I'm pretty satisfied with my Nintendo 64 collection. I would like some more games. I do have a boxed Pikachu N64, which was the US release in the Toys R Us stores that was only released here in the United States. But other places, you know, they got their own versions where like Japan got a Pokemon Orange one. I think there was like a Pokemon Stadium Battle one. I don't recall where that was released. Ultimately, for my collection, the only one I think I'd want to add at this point is the gold version. And I think that was also a Toys R Us exclusive, and I'm not really looking for it in the box. I just think it would be that like last console that I'm on the hunt for. So maybe someday I'll be able to complete that and be happy with the consoles I have. This is probably going to end up being a short video, but I really just wanted to give some love to my Funtastic series. I was so happy I was able to complete it before I left, and I was really sad that I couldn't talk about it before I left because by the time I got them, the other 4 were already in boxes deep in bubble wrap. But thank you all so much for watching. Let me know which one is your favorite color. My personal favorite is the ice blue, I think. Some days it's the orange one, it depends on the day you ask me. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for the support. Hope you all have good game hunting.